If we were to condense the entire history of life on Earth into a single 24-hour day, modern humans would have appeared only in the last 8 seconds. In other words, while we may seem ancient, in just these few seconds, which represent roughly 350,000 years, some things on Earth have remained unchanged, while others have undergone significant transformations. If you were somehow transported back to the time when humans first emerged, you would witness a world filled with strange and unfamiliar creatures. At that time, early Homo species were still limited to the African continent. Some groups remained in Africa for a long time, while others ventured far, eventually settling in the regions we now inhabit. If you could glimpse into that era, humans would appear as just another part of nature, blending seamlessly into the wild landscapes. Over time, however, they spread across the world, hunting, foraging, and eventually building permanent settlements. But it wasn't just humans who changed. Their surroundings evolved as well. Many creatures that existed in those early days, such as Neanderthals and woolly rhinoceroses, had already disappeared by the time we continued evolving in Africa. In some regions, evolution took a different path, resulting in now extinct species that looked remarkably similar to modern animals, just with slight differences. A great example of this is the Paleoloxodon. Syncerus naledi, often called the straight-tusked elephant, was the largest land mammal to ever walk the earth. Standing at an astonishing 4.5 meters, 15 feet, tall, and weighing up to 22 tons, this prehistoric giant dwarfed even the largest mammoths and modern elephants. Its long, straight tusks could grow over 4 meters, 13 feet in length, making them some of the most impressive natural weapons in the animal kingdom. Paleoloxodon thrived during the Pleistocene epoch, approximately 700,000 to 10,000 years ago. It roamed across Europe and Asia, inhabiting dense forests, grasslands, and river valleys. Unlike modern elephants, which have curved tusks, Paleoloxodon's straight tusks were likely used for stripping bark, digging for water, or even as tools to clear paths through dense vegetation. This elephant titan was a herbivore, consuming up to 300 kilograms, 660 pounds, of vegetation daily. Its massive size meant it had few natural predators, but it also required vast amounts of food and water to sustain itself. Paleoloxodon likely lived in herds, similar to modern elephants, with complex social structures and communication systems. Despite its immense size and strength, Paleoloxodon was not invincible. The end of the Ice Age brought dramatic environmental changes, including the shrinking of forests and the expansion of grasslands. These shifts reduced the availability of food and water, putting immense pressure on the species. Humans also played a significant role in its extinction. Early Homo sapiens and Neanderthals, armed with spears and fire, hunted Paleoloxodon for its meat, hides, and tusks. The combination of climate change and overhunting led to the species' demise around 10,000 years ago. Could it still be alive? The idea of a 22-ton elephant surviving unnoticed in modern times is highly unlikely. However, some cryptozoologists have speculated about the existence of remnant populations in remote regions like the Congo Basin or the Himalayas. While there's no credible evidence to support these claims, the mystery surrounding Paleoloxodon continues to captivate imaginations. Any living relatives? Yes. The closest living relative of Paleoloxodon is the Asian elephant, Elephas maximus. Genetic studies suggest that some Asian elephants may carry traces of Paleoloxodon DNA, hinting at ancient interbreeding between the two species. The buffalo that put bulls to shame. What was it? Syncerus antiquus, also known as the giant buffalo, was a massive bovid that roamed Africa during the Pleistocene. It weighed up to 2,000 kilograms, 4,400 pounds, and had horns spanning over 3 meters, 10 feet from tip to tip. These horns were not just for show, they were deadly weapons used to fend off predators like lions and hyenas. This buffalo lived in open grasslands and savannas, where it grazed on tough, fibrous plants. Its size and strength made it a formidable opponent, but it was also a slow mover, relying on its horns and bulk for defense. Syncerus antiquus likely lived in herds, which provided protection against predators and increased its chances of survival. Syncerus antiquus disappeared around 10,000 years ago, coinciding with the arrival of early humans in Africa. While climate change played a role in its decline, overhunting by humans likely sealed its fate. Its massive size made it an attractive target for hunters seeking large quantities of meat and hides. Could it still be alive? Reports of giant buffalo-like creatures in remote African regions persist, but no concrete evidence has been found. Modern African buffalo, Syncerus kaffir, are its closest relatives, though they are significantly smaller. Homo naledi, the small-brained mystery hominin. What was it? Discovered in the Rising Star Cave System in South Africa in 2013, Homo naledi is one of the most intriguing hominins ever found. It had a mix of primitive and advanced features, including a small brain, about one-third the size of a modern human's, and a body adapted for both climbing and walking upright. Homo naledi lived around 300,000 years ago, sharing the landscape with early Homo sapiens. Despite its small brain, it exhibited complex behaviors, such as burying its dead, a trait previously thought to be unique to modern humans. This suggests that intelligence and social complexity may not be solely dependent on brain size. Dark truth. Homo naledi's extinction may have been caused by competition with Homo sapiens, who were better equipped to survive in changing environments. Its small brain and limited tool use likely put it at a disadvantage. Could it still be alive? While unlikely, some legends of small wild men in Africa have led to speculation about surviving populations. However, no evidence supports this idea. Homo rhodesiensis and Homo heidelbergensis, the almost humans. What were they? Homo rhodesiensis and Homo heidelbergensis were robust, muscular hominins that lived in Africa and Europe. Homo heidelbergensis, in particular, is considered a possible ancestor of both Neanderthals and modern humans. They were skilled hunters, using wooden spears to take down large prey like mammoths and rhinos. These hominins lived in diverse environments, from African savannas to European forests. They built shelters, used fire, and may have had rudimentary language. Dark truth. Evolution's dead ends. Despite their adaptations, both species disappeared as Homo sapiens and Neanderthals became dominant. Climate change and competition likely played a role in their extinction. Could they still be alive? Reports of wild men in remote regions occasionally surface, but no credible evidence suggests these hominins survived. Dinopithecus, the king of giant baboons. What was it? Dinopithecus was a massive baboon that lived in Africa during the Pliocene and Pleistocene epochs. It stood about 1.5 meters, 5 feet tall, and weighed up to 100 kilograms, 220 pounds. Its large canines and powerful jaws made it a formidable predator. Dinopithecus likely lived in mixed environments, from forests to grasslands. It was omnivorous, feeding on fruits, small animals, and possibly scavenged meat. Dark truths. As early humans developed tools and weapons, Dinopithecus faced increasing competition for resources. Its large size may have made it a target for hunters. Could it still be alive? No evidence supports the survival of Dinopithecus, but modern baboons, Papio, are its closest relatives. Rusingoryx, the antelope, that thought it was a dinosaur. What was it? Rusingoryx was a wildebeest-like antelope with a unique hollow crest on its skull. This crest likely functioned as a resonating chamber, allowing it to produce low-frequency sounds for communication. Habitat and behavior. Rusingoryx lived in open grasslands where it grazed on tough vegetation. Its crest may have been used to communicate over long distances or to attract mates. Dark truth, the last of its kind. Rusingoryx disappeared around 100,000 years ago, possibly due to environmental changes or human activity. Could it still be alive? No evidence suggests Rusingoryx survives today, but modern wildebeests, conochetes, are its closest relatives. These extinct giants remind us of the incredible diversity of life that once existed on Earth. While they may be gone, Their stories live on in the fossils they left behind and the modern species that carry their legacy. Which of these ancient creatures do you find the most fascinating? Let us know in the comment, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel.